INFJs, how's it going today? I'm going to ask you a few questions. Do you find yourself stuck in thought, like overanalyzing every single detail, yet still feeling like you haven't got it figured out? Or maybe do you spend hours trying to perfect that idea or project, whatever it is you're working on or what you're thinking about before you present it? Or maybe you don't ever take the action to present it or to ever do the idea that you're thinking about because you're just waiting for it to be perfect. Or perhaps you feel like you're questioning absolutely every decision, replaying all those scenarios over and over in your mind, which is so exhausting, and second guessing yourself. If you relate to some of these, or maybe all of them, at one time I could relate to all of them, you're probably stuck in the introverted intuition and introverted thinking loop, which is very common for an INFJ to be stuck in. And it's very tricky little thing because often we don't realize that we're stuck in the loop. This is what I'm talking about today, is the introverted intuition, introverted thinking loop. We're going to talk about what it is. I'm going to explain to you what exactly it is, what it looks like when we're stuck in that loop, what's going on in life, how to break the loop, and what life will look like once it's broken. So if you're an INFJ, and if you're an INFJ who is also autistic, you're going to want to stick around for this because it's very interesting, and this is a huge thing that will keep us stuck, and we don't even realize. I didn't even realize that it was a thing, let alone being stuck in it, and I didn't realize it was what was holding me back. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name's Trina Bretnell. I'm glad that you found it. I'm very grateful for you. I hope you find it very interesting and helpful. I'm an INFJ myself, and I am also on the spectrum. I like showing up and just sharing things that have helped me, things that I have learned about, and with hopes of helping INFJs and also INFJs on the spectrum just feel seen, heard, understood, and less alone. That's my goal. So if you're coming back to my channel, if you're returning, I'm glad that you came back. All right, let's get into this. Oh, before we get going, I do want to ask you if you have anything that you would like me to talk about, a topic or a subject, whatever it may be, drop it in the comments, or I will also include my email address if you just want to email me directly. I love to hear back from all my viewers. It's so much fun when I hear from you. Yeah, and let me know, and I will do my best to talk about this. This was actually a suggestion from a few people to talk about this loop, and when I seen it, I'm like, yeah, that's a great one. Because many of us, including myself, we had no idea that this was even a thing. So what is the introverted intuition and introverted thinking loop? So introverted intuition is our dominant function. That's our first function. That's what we use most of the time, right? It's the deep meaning, the pattern recognition, the insights that are important to us from the world around us. That's introverted intuition in a nutshell. Then we have our introverted thinking, which is our third function. Okay, so we will use this quite a bit, but it's our third function. So if you think of it, the way it was described to me when I was taking my MBTI practitioner's course was, think of it in a car. So the one in the driver's seat would be your dominant function, and that's our introverted intuition. Then on the passenger seat, we've got our extraverted feeling. And then behind the driver, in the back seat, we're gonna have our third function, which is introverted thinking. Okay, so that's our third function, and it's in charge of the logical analysis, seeking clarity, internal problem solving, that sort of thing, right? Now the loop is when we get stuck between introverted intuition and our introverted thinking and completely pass over our auxiliary function of extroverted thinking, the one in the passenger shotgun. I guess it'd be called shotgun, right? Riding shotgun. We're completely passing over that function. That's our extroverted feeling. So it's not even involved at all. It's just sitting there saying like, hey, what the heck's going on? We're stuck in our brains and we're just overthinking and we're overanalyzing. This happens to us most of the time when we're feeling stressed, overwhelmed, we're getting pushed out of our comfort zone, which if you're on the spectrum, an INFJ on the spectrum, that's a lot. Like just leaving my house is pushing me right out of my comfort zone. I'll just be completely honest. I hate just leaving my house. It's scary. It to leave my house, I'll be honest. So that's just pushing me out of my comfort zone. So I have to be very careful because I do know that that's going to push me out of my comfort zone. And I have to be careful that I don't get stuck in that loop while I get out and go and do whatever it is I have to do. It's that simple. We can get pulled into it that easy. So getting pulled out of our comfort zone. See, for an INFJ, we need to spend a certain amount of time in our heads, right? Our heads are our safe place. We're creative. We have, oftentimes, if you're a writer and I've heard painters, I'm not a painter, but I am a writer. We have like our stories going on inside of our heads, and we really like to go and spend time with our characters, which it sounds a little bit crazy, but if you're a writer, you understand exactly what I mean. That's our safe place. So if we're out in a social gathering and we're feeling overwhelmed, we've got sensory overload going on, we're going to, and we can't escape it, we're going to go into our heads because that's our safe place. That's where we feel safe, and we're going to try and block everybody out, if that makes sense. So that is why we will do that when we're feeling unsafe. I'm just going to say unsafe. It's out of our comfort zone, overwhelmed, whatever it may be. Now, when we do this, that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to get caught in that loop, because now we're mindful that this can happen, right? So that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to get caught in our loop. However, when we do get stuck in that loop and we don't realize it, that's when the issues come up. So stuck in the loop is basically when we're overthinking. We're in deep, deep thought and we're never taking action. We just sit there thinking. I was stuck in a loop most of my life. I had so many ideas that I wanted to do, and I never done them. I would just think about them. And I would say, well, I'm just thinking about it until I get it right, and then I'll start taking action. And even when I was working outside of the house in corporate life, there were things that would come up at work, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to go for that promotion or whatever it may be. And I would think about it, and I would never take action. I would never go for it. Very seldom would I ever go for it because I was stuck in that loop. Now, when we're autistic, INFJ and also autistic, this is like much worse for us. The loop is way, way worse. Okay, it's amplified. So we are stuck much deeper in our heads. We are overthinking much more. We are overanalyzing. It is just a much stronger experience, I guess is what I'm going to call it. Experience. It's quite an experience anyway. I'm sure that you know exactly what I mean. So when we're autistic, our tendency to overanalyze is much deeper, and we get caught up in details, like massively caught up in details that aren't important, but for some reason we think it is. Okay. The perfectionism is amplified. Now, INFJ, without being on the spectrum, your perfectionism is going to be even more when you're on the loop. But now when you're on the spectrum as well, when you're also an autistic INFJ, your perfectionism is even more amplified than that. Like, it is way out there. It's crazy. I've experienced it, and it's not very much fun. We will find social interactions much more draining. So if you're an INFJ on the spectrum, if you're autistic, you're going to find, if you're caught up in that loop, you're going to find social interactions way, way more draining, which makes us isolate even more into our heads. We're going to avoid it because it's just going to be way too much. And also, and this goes for both INFJs and INFJs who are autistic, it's extreme sensitivity. So we're high sensitive people anyway, most of us. If you're autistic, I can guarantee that you are. INFJs, majority of INFJs are, although I have encountered a few that claim to not be. So I can't say that all INFJs are. When we're stuck in the loop, that sensitivity is even higher. So it's like massive sensory overload all the time. Again, that would force us to isolate ourselves and never take action. This does not serve us at all, being stuck in this loop. And many of us are stuck in this loop and don't even realize it's going on. Like I said earlier, I was stuck in the loop for like years. I would say like most of my life. I was stuck in the loop. I had no idea what the heck was going on. I didn't even know it was a thing, right? So being mindful of it is very powerful. That this is happening. You can sit back and say, oh, okay, now this is what's going on. I am stuck in this loop that I heard this crazy woman on YouTube talking about, and now I have to break it. So What does life look like when we break the loop? And I will share ways on how to break the loop in just a second, but I just want to show you what life looks like once we break the loop. We start taking action, okay? So on our ideas or at work, whatever it may be, we actually start taking action. We stop overthinking about it. We stop playing those scenarios out in our heads. We actually start taking action, which in turn leads us to gain confidence. Action will trigger that confidence. Even if we're failing at the action, we're still going to gain confidence because we're going to acknowledge we're taking action. Okay, once we break the loop, we start engaging with other people. We start going out and socializing with our people and engaging with them and connecting. We then feel connected and supported, which in turn builds this confidence, right? When we're stuck in the loop, our confidence is going down, 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 down. So once we break that loop and get out of it, our confidence starts building up. And we feel more fulfilled and satisfied with our life, which is huge because many of us don't. We're very unsatisfied. We could have an amazing life going on, but it still feels like there's something missing, right? There's more to it. There's got to be more of a purpose. Chances are pretty good, not guaranteed, that you're stuck in the loop. It could just be that you're kind of out of connection with your own self as well. So how do we get out of this loop? How do we break the loop? There's lots and lots of ways, but I don't want to keep you guys too long. I pulled out 3 of the ones that I think are important, which was really hard to do because there are so many different ways, and I think they're all important, them working together, not just doing one thing, but doing a few of them and working together because they kind of all build on each other. So the first one that I pulled out, and this goes for INFJs and also INFJs on the spectrum. These action steps work for both, okay? So number 1 is engage in activities that promote that extroverted feeling. It's the preference. Did I call it preference or the function? I used function. We'll keep using the word function. Remember, our extroverted feeling is our second function. It's riding shotgun. And when we're in the loop, we've completely skipped it. So now to break this loop, we want to engage in activities that promote that extroverted feeling, such as practicing active listening is one of them. And it's easy to do. We do it quite naturally unless we're stuck in the loop. Unless we're stuck in the loop. Another way to promote extroverted feeling is to show appreciation and gratitude to those around you. So notice. Give somebody a compliment them, do something nice for somebody and tell them you're grateful for them. Share how you feel towards them, as long as it's positive. We want positive interaction, right? So positive social interactions will shift our focus outward, and that's what we want, because when we're in that loop, our focus is inward and we want to shift it out, right? In the loop, we've got we've got the introverted intuition and the introverted thinking. Introverted means it's all done on the inside of us. Okay, so nobody sees it going on. We're stuck inside of us. The extroverted feeling is outside. It's what we see going on. So that's when you give somebody a compliment or you show gratitude for whatever you have going on or people in your life, that sort of thing, right? So in order to break that loop of the introverted, we need to push outwards for extroverted. So doing that. Number 2, I'm looking at my notes here because I don't want to get them wrong because there were so many different things. Take action and implement your ideas. Just take action. Before that overthinking starts and that overanalyzing, take the action. This works. I use this all the time. I have used it for years. Now, when I use this, I pair it with an idea that I didn't come up with. It was the lovely Mel Robbins. I don't know if you know her, but she is on YouTube. You can just search Mel Robbins. She's an amazing lady, and I do recommend you follow her. I have no affiliation with her. I just really like her. For me to take action, she came up with this idea, and I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's counting backwards from 5. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. When you hit 1, You could even say 0 if you want. I don't know. I just say 1. But when you hit 1, you start taking action before it gives before you give your brain a chance to think. Just start taking action. This is huge. When we start taking action, it will take our focus of our brain away from overthinking. So it's going to, like, I don't even know what the word is that I'm looking for. It's not going to allow your brain to overthink. That's basically what I want to say. It's not going to allow your brain to overthink. When you start taking action, your brain's going to be focused on the action that you're taking. I don't know why this is so hard for me to explain to you guys today. It's going to be focused on the action you're taking instead of focused on overthinking about this action. So count backwards from 5, and then before you allow that next thought to come into your brain, take action. Okay? Start small. When we're doing this, we're going to start out small. So if we have this idea or whatever it is that you've been thinking about, break it up into small steps. The smaller, the better. Take action on one of those small steps. Do it. When we do that, that part of our brain is going to be like, oh, look at that. We did it. Well, let's keep going, and then keep going. This will start building momentum, and we're going to notice our progress, and we're going to acknowledge it. Even if it's not perfect, we're still going to acknowledge it. If we start picking it apart, we're going to shut ourselves down. So we don't want to do that. We want to acknowledge it and say, hey, good job. We're doing it. This is going to build momentum, and it's going to keep us going, and it's going to keep us out of that loop. The third thing that I really suggest is seek help from a therapist or a coach like myself, right? This loop significantly impacts our well-being, and it's so tricky because many of us don't realize that we're stuck in it. When we seek help from a therapist or a coach, we can offer, like for me, I offer guidance and support to my clients, right? Accountability if they need it, and so much more. I'm like the little cheerleader, and we need that to help pull us out of this loop, especially if we've been in it for a long time, like myself. It's just nice to have somebody cheering for you in your corner, right? To help with that momentum and keep you going, and somebody that you can talk to that really understands you. So those were my 3 ideas. When we're stuck in the loop and we want to break it, those are the 3 things that I suggest. Engage in activities that promote extraverted feeling. We want to actually implement action, start doing it, take action, or we want to seek support. Or all 3 of those. Like I said, they all work together. I hope this was helpful for you. If it was, please like my video, and I invite you to subscribe to my channel. Again, if you have something that you'd like me to talk about, don't hesitate to reach out. Either put it in the comments or email it to me. I love to hear from you. So thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. And again, I hope this was helpful, and I will see you again very soon with another fun video. Until then, bye for now.